Okay, so I should use this. So an adda is a very Indian word. It has connotations in American. I'm saying American as though American is a language in itself, but I guess American is a language in itself. They don't speak English in the United States of America. In American, you call it a hangout, a place where you go and you hang out with friends. So a tea party, this is Alice in Wonderland, childhood memories of any tea party is Alice in Wonderland and the Mad Hatter's tea party. So I keep saying, our Chai for Cancer venture was really a crazy, mad kind of thought that came into our minds, but it turned out into a pretty okay kind of a thing. The most important aspect of this was, we said it's for us. Nobody is going to raise funds for you. You want funds, whatever you want, you have to go out and get it for yourself. Why do we need funds? Why does any group need funds? To support, to provide succor to the beneficiaries of the group. So Friends of Max is made up of thousands of CML and GIST survivors, a majority of them beneficiaries of the donation program put in place by Novartis, the Access program. The medication is given at no cost to almost 98% of the patients in the program. To collect that medication, which is given at no cost, patients have to actually spend, according to their economic background, a lot of money. They have to travel from distant villages to their treatment centers, then they have to go to the stockist, they have to do their tests, their periodic tests, sometimes once in 4 months, sometimes once in 3 months, sometimes every month. And we found that there was terrible compliance, very poor adherence behavior because they couldn't make it. They couldn't come to see their doctors. They couldn't go to collect their medication. The only way of encouraging them on good adherence behavior, on the importance of compliance, was to try and organize as many patient support group meetings as possible, and to try and see if those who needed the funds, we could actually help by giving them the resources so that they could come and see their doctors. For all of this, you need money. Friends of Max grew up really in a very spontaneous manner, primarily because people wanted to be in touch with each other, and this was something so unprecedented, so many patients with a specific kind of cancer, all of them bound together by the program, by the intervention of the Max Foundation. We started helping out in a very haphazard kind of a manner, for lack of a better word to use. And then we decided we should register the trust. So the city chapter leaders who were maybe around like Sundar and Pramod here, and you've met a few others in earlier meetings, they said, let's kind of, so we went to the Charities Commissioner, we registered the trust, and then patients themselves would put in some kind of a contribution, but it was very sporadic and it was not enough. So we thought of doing fundraising activities. We actually had a fundraiser, the typical kind of fundraiser that you have. We called a very well-known singer to come and perform, and everybody put in everything. The Friends of Max put in whatever money they had, and it was a resounding success in the sense that throngs of people came to attend to hear the lady sing, but all those tickets had to be donated because nobody was buying the tickets. And all the money that we literally sank into the fundraiser disappeared. That was actually what made me personally sit up and saying that, what are we doing? We're not doing anything if we cannot take care of ourselves, and if we cannot bring something that could be constructive, that would actually make a difference. And so we said, let's do something ourselves, and we said, Chai for Cancer. It's not an original idea. 20 years ago, I had gone for my training. My UICC scholarship had taken me to Brisbane, Queensland Cancer Fund. And on one day was the day I was, it was a fundraising event I was supposed to attend as a trainee. So we walked into this, it was what's called in Australia a homestead. And there was a tea, coffee being served, cakes being served in nice little cups like the one Pramod showed you just now. And I paid something because they said you have to pay to enter this party, and this is Australia's biggest tea and coffee morning. I brought that mug back with me, and I paid some like 15 Australian dollars for it 20 years ago. It's a lot of money. So I had brought it back with me. It was sitting on my table, and we were having a meeting, all the trustees, all of us together, and that cup caught my attention. And I said, you know what? This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do chai for cancer. It worked. What were the objectives? It is a unique program focused on raising awareness. People don't know what CML is. People don't know that people who are not touched by cancer have no idea what a diagnosis of cancer means to the family that's facing that particular diagnosis. So we said, let's focus on raising awareness in the community and also raise funds. So we tried to be as professional as we could. We said we must have a logo. We trademarked it. We had the logo created. All of us just put our heads together. We came up with this logo. We said we'll choose the colors, orange for leukemia, green for chai. It had to match with the Friends of Max, the Friends of Max logo also, so that there could be the power of association when people saw this. And the tagline was, let's drink to a cause. So the early plans that we made, we said, let's designate. It's still, it has worked in these last 2.5 years, but it's still in the process of being a more structured, and we're still playing with different options. But the early plans were that we designate a day, we call it Chai for Cancer Day. Any individual, a group, a club, is encouraged to hold a chai adda at their home. It could be anybody. I have had 2 addas in my house and had about 78 to 80 people streaming in between 11 a.m. and 8 p.m. and contributing to the cause. We invite our family, we invite friends, we invite neighbors. Each invitee donates an amount towards the cup of tea consumed. The minimum amount can be determined, maximum left to the individual. We said 100 rupees for a cup of chai. Normally you get a cup of chai for about 8 rupees, or about cheaper than that could be maybe, cheapest could be maybe 5 rupees. But we said we can ask everyone to give at least 100 rupees for a cup of chai. Maximum, then people ended up by giving 10,000 rupees for a cup of chai. The donation is to be made to Friends of Max. By now we have Friends of Max registered as a charitable trust. It is capable of receiving funds from within the country. We are able to give the tax exemption and receipt certificates to the donors. So like I said, all donations would receive the receipt and the income tax exemption. The greatest thing was that this caught the fancy of all the people, of all the Friends of Max. And patients, caregivers, friends of patients, they actually held addas in their homes. There was J.P. Tiwari who held an adda in a city called Bhopal. There was Balbir Singh who held an adda in his house in a city called Amritsar. There was Jayant Dwivedi who held an adda in his house in a city called Pune. Karthikeyan held in his house in a city called Coimbatore. So Friends of Max came up and they said, this is something we can do. So the hosts actually volunteered themselves, their homes, and their resources to do a Chai for Cancer adda. Like I said, when we did that fundraiser, where we had the very well-known singer come and perform for us, we had to sink in a lot of money. So we said this time, there's no money. First of all, there was no money to be used. So we said we're going to use whatever existing resources there are. We will use social media, we will use print media, we'll go to the radio station, we'll take our own FOM volunteers, our own Friends of Max volunteers. Every patient who held, or every host who held an adda in his or her home created an event on Facebook. I am so proud when I stand here and say that I use Facebook to its maximum utility value. Honestly, that tool is such a fantastic tool if you use it. Maybe I don't use it really wisely at all times, like I have been told, but for my Chai for Cancer and for my patients to come out of that little wall that the stigma of cancer created for them, we made a closed Friends of Max Facebook page. We have over 400, I think, members. Really, they never knew when they realized that it really didn't matter who knew whether they had cancer or not. And I have seen them all transition from that closed Friends of Max Facebook page to the open Friends of Max Facebook page. They're asking me, telling me, yeah, of course you can post my picture, and don't forget to tag me, Amma, please tag me. So I mean, that I think is fantastic, and I think Chai for Cancer, you know, using social media, we have a Twitter. I mean, it's just really been amazing. To be very honest, I never imagined it would become like this. So we have a page on Facebook, we have our account on Twitter, and we chose partners. Salman Khan, as all of you know, is a very well-known Bollywood actor. He's a dear friend. I've known him for more than 2 decades. Went to him and I said, this is what we want to do. And he said, wonderful. You know, when you have an adda at my studio, I'll make the chai myself. And we're planning an adda actually in the coming months at his studio. So he said, fine, and he tweeted about it. When he tweeted about it, radio stations found out about it. So the radio station called and said, will you come and talk about it? So when we went and spoke at the radio station, we had corporate offices calling us. We want to hold a Chai for Cancer adda in our office. So we chose venues like that, homes, clubs, hospital cafeterias. This has been the most amazing, amazing lesson. Our physicians, they threw open their hospital OPDs for us. Come and put your chai there, and we can have Chai for Cancer addas there. It's been amazing the way people have welcomed this. And our operation mantra was, we have to minimize implementing costs, and we have to, all this is jargon which I've heard, you know, young business administration students use, you know, utilizing existing resources and mobilization, but then these are just big words that actually state what we actually do. It's just that we don't know how to promote it or how to talk about it, but this happened. We minimized all the implementing costs, we used our existing resources, we got the community totally on their toes, and the city chapter leaders. Everything has depended upon the city chapter leaders for making Chai for Cancer a success. We did want some tea company to associate themselves with us. This also we got through personal contacts. So we went to these guys who are in charge of the Society Tea. It's one of the oldest tea companies in India. It used to be called Hasmukh Rai and Company. Young boys, 27 and 28 years old, brothers who run this company, we went and spoke to them about it, and they said, yeah, we'll give you the tea. They said, we don't have money to spend in promoting it or in making big, you know, advertisements or anything, but wherever you have your adda, we'll give you the chai. Society Tea gives us packets of teas to take to these addas, to send to these addas. So did I miss something? Yeah. Yeah, we said let's have some merchandise. This we had to invest in a little bit. We had to get these T-shirts made and Chai for Cancer mugs made. But people actually have been buying them also. If they've been donating a certain amount, and then they get a mug or a T-shirt in return for that amount. So now, 2014 and 2015, we've had 48 addas so far. 17 cities have seen these addas hosted. And the hosts have included patients, caregivers, hospitals, clubs, housing complexes, corporate offices, radio stations. Both the Novartis offices in Bombay and in Hyderabad have also held a Chai for Cancer adda. Again, this was, we had a little competition for anyone with the most innovative of selfies for Chai for Cancer. So this is, yeah, I mean, you cannot not have a selfie if I'm around, okay? So this is a young dentist who won the award for this selfie of his. And then we moved on to Chai for Cancer 2015. We became more stringent. Is Fan here, please? There he is. So Fan is responsible for this beautiful banner, for the Chai for Cancer banner that he made for us. And the artwork is from one of our patients themselves. So this year, even this we took over. We said everything has to be in-house. And Chai for Cancer 2015 also saw Chai for Cancer USA. Pat and Erin were like absolutely for this, saying that we have to do this. And the summer of 2015, we had a pilot project, 7 cities in the United States, 11 addas. Hosts were primarily my friends and my family, because I said, let's target the Indian expat community in the US. And then the Max team members hosted, the Max Foundation board members hosted, and it was a gala pilot project, actually. I'm going to end the presentation with this letter that the Max Foundation office in Seattle received from this young boy called Shiv Pai. His full name is Shiva Krishna Pai. He's 11 years old, 12 years old. Okay, he says, hello, my name is Shiva Krishna. I'm 12 years old. I recently attended a tea party, in parenthesis, Chai Adda, hosted by Viji Venkatesh. This gathering inspired me to open a lemonade stand in honor of the Max Foundation and donate all the money made. My parents have matched a check to the amount of how much I made. Thank you, Shivre.
Thank you so much. I have three questions. How much did this kid raise?
He raised $170.
Wow. And matched by his parents?
Matched by his parents.
Wonderful. You mentioned you sent tea to all of the people that registered. Did you also put together a toolkit?
Yes.
Could you
yes.
tell
we had
us
a toolkit. Yeah. We had a little cardboard carton that would have the posters that we made, that had the chai, the tea packets. It had the receipt books. It had thank you cards. And it had a small little guide, like a little guide thing, like what they had to do. And the Chai for Cancer USA was sponsored by Organic Tea by a tea company in the US.
Great, thank you. My last question, and forgive me if you covered this already, the graphic you had on the mug in the first year, which really graphically represents the issues you have with compliance, spoke 1,000 words. Who did that, and are you continuing to use that? Because that's an incredible graphic.
Yes, that's one of our survivors, and we are definitely going to continue to use that in the next next time we make the mugs. Yes.
Yeah, Mosaddiq.
Do you serve any other food than tea?
Tea, definitely. One of our colleagues in the Max Foundation Seattle had served beer. The beer company donated a keg, so it was keg for cancer.
Great.
Okay. At home, there was coffee, there was fruit juice, and in many other homes there was wine, and there's also food, a lot of food. Do I have time?
Yeah.
Like I have 3 minutes?
Yeah.
I want to
more
talk
than
about
that.
the soup stone story. How many of you know of the soup stone story? This is this man who was hungry, tired, weary, and he went knocking on doors and saying it was a cold, I think it's from Aesop's Fables, if I'm not mistaken. So, and then of course everybody said, no, sorry, we've just finished with dinner, there's no food, and they kept refusing him. So he knocked at the one door, he said, and he took out a stone and he said, so they said, no, there's no food. They said, we have nothing in the house, I'm sorry. So he said, you know what, I have a magic stone. It's called the soup stone. All I need is your fireplace with a fire, a big pot, and some water. So the people in the house were intrigued. So they said, come in, come in. So they organized the fire, they got the big pot, and they put water in it. And then the man said, okay, there's my soup stone. And before you know it, we're going to have the most delicious soup, okay? I wonder how many of you had the pumpkin soup yesterday. It was delicious. So after a while, he said, some salt, and some pepper maybe? Yeah, the lady of the house came quickly with some salt and some pepper. And then he said, do you have any leftover potatoes from yesterday? So she said, yeah, I think I do. And she brought a couple of potatoes and she put them in. And then he said, maybe you have some celery or some onions or something. And he kept asking for little bits and pieces, little this and that. And yes, the soup, the pot began to fill with all kinds of aromatic ingredients. And finally, the soup was ready. And everybody thought it was the soup stone. So in the same way, the Chai for Cancer Adda, the chai is the soup stone. Volunteers, hosts, when they host, they cook, they bake cakes, they buy samosas, they order biryani. So there's food and there's a whole lot of stuff. And
Food festival.
it's like a food festival.
Charles is the reason.
So Pramod, you held an adda in your house. Would you like to say a few words about this?
Both these years, 2014 and 15, I had addas. 2014, I used old church, the community center that we are using, as a place to get in people. And this year, I added my house on my birthday. So, a lot of friends coming in, parish members, office colleagues coming in for this tea party. And it was a good time of sharing this year. In fact, I had the Friends of Max and Max Foundation videos that are played in our events, that being played in the TV continuously, so that when people were coming without talking itself, that video was just like we had some videos that was played. So those videos were being played, and it was a very wonderful time, good sharing, good fellowship. Like Amma said, I had cake in my place. Last time we had biscuits. It was a good fun, good time.
Pat donated her birthday to Chai for Cancer this year. And another amazing development or idea with which Erin and Pat worked on was putting it out on CrowdRise, online fundraising. And end of the month, October is the month we conclude our Chai for Cancer events in India. It's May to October, because even though there's one day that's designated and it's promoted as Chai for Cancer Day, people have been coming to us saying they would, they find it better, they can do this during a festival or during this or during that. So we have a colleague in the Max Foundation team in India, Vijaya, her name is. Her parents' 50th wedding anniversary is coming up on the 31st of October. And Vijaya's father has donated that celebration to Chai for Cancer. They are having family and friends coming over all over from India and from other countries where their family members are. And that's being donated. So people are being donated to Chai for Cancer. So people are finding occasions to donate to Chai for Cancer.
My last question is, how do you invite the participants or guests or your friends? Do you only create events on Facebook or social media?
Hello,
or
Moshede,
phone calls?
I'm going to have a Chai for Cancer Adda at my home. Moshede, you have to bring your family and friends and come over. Will you come over?
Okay, I will come over with foods.
Telephone.
I made handbills, just small handbills, and distributed it, local area. Just handbills. So I have a Chai for Adda at this time at my place. Please join me.
Oh, that's a great one.
Thank you.
Last thing, we also patented the Chai for Cancer. So you actually can use TM if you require. But so it's also registered with the government as a trademark or a patent.
Yep.
Yeah.
My apologies. I know I'll have a lot of microphone time this afternoon.
So
But I just wanted to give you a gift because you mentioned the web. chaiforcancer.org, chaiforcancer.com, chaiforcancer.info, chaiforcancer.in are all available. So I'll purchase those under your name
Wonderful.
as a gift in the hope that you might
That
use
is
those
on
next
the
year.
project to do a website. That
It's
is
yours.
the upcoming year. Fantastic. Thank
Thank you.
you. Wow. That's wonderful. Sudha, that's half your work done, Sudha. Sudha, along with our consultant, Deepa, is working on creating the Chai for Cancer website.
Yes.
That's her. Awesome.